Okay, good evening everyone. So in the last class, we discussed about the snapshots, right? Okay. So today we will discuss about a replica feature. And already I created one database, like whatever the steps we follow using the t3.micro, I created one database. And the same region, because yesterday by mistakenly I deleted all the databases. So I created one in advance so that the database will be ready for us to work on that. Okay. So this I created in Northern Virginia region. Okay. And this is RDS, which is MySQL database engine. And the purpose of this database is, and also this was created in US East 1A availability zone. And the purpose of this database is, I have an application. It can be any kind of application, that doesn't matter. And this application will be connected with the database so that whenever a user uploads some data, that will be stored into the database. And the application will display all the data by loading from this particular database. So all the read and write actions will be done from the application. Okay. So now, if you see that particular database, whatever we created already, this is the database, right? I gave the name as a database 1. That is the database instance name. That is the database instance name is, let us say, database 1. And within that, actual database name is, I think I have given dev-d, like I am using that for development purpose or whatever it is. And if you see the role of that particular database, what is the role here? What is the role? Instance. The role is instance means the database is running as a standalone instance. There is no dependent databases running, or it is not connected, or it is not clustered with any other database. It is a single database and it doesn't have any standby instance or something. So here the role of this database is instance. Instance is the role. And assume that this is an online store. This is an online store like Amazon or something. Generally, what kind of operations will be performed on the database of the Amazon website? Whenever a user log into the application, he will view like 100, let's say 10 products or 20 products, then he will purchase one product. Whenever he is loading different products, there will be a read action, right? So all those many times, the data will be loaded from the database. Only once in a while, the write operation will be performed. When the write operation will be performed, whenever the user added the product to the cart, or whenever the user purchases the item, then the information will be recorded into the database. So here, these databases are, like all the time, these databases will provide the services, right? Always these databases are busy. And the company is having a team, called data analysis team. What their job is, regularly, like every hour or continuously, they will run some reports. Like they will view the data, like in the last 1 hour, like morning 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., total how many products were sold, and what is the total income generated, and under the electronics category, how many products were sold, and what is the income generated only under the electronics or home furniture. Like that, they will do all the time analysis. How they will do analysis? Like they will use some kind of scripts, like they will connect to the database and they will write some queries and they will execute the queries. Along with your application load, this particular team is putting some load on your database, right? So whenever they are doing analysis, they will execute like hundreds of queries a day. Obviously, on the database, there will be an additional load, and your actual production application will get low performance. So to avoid this kind of situations, the only way is we should not allow these users to access the database for a report generation and all the things. But their job is to generate the reports. So to avoid this kind of a situation, Amazon is providing you a different feature called read replica. That is called as read replica. What is the meaning of a replica? Exact copy of the data, right? So whatever the data is available here, all the data will be automatically replicated to this particular read replica. And this read replica is only available in read-only mode. No user can write the data and no user can delete the data. Whenever there is a new data created in the main database, automatically the data will be replicated to the read replica. And the data replication is one-way replication. So that these users will connect to the read replica and they can run all the reports. Not only that, that is the first use case. And the second use case is on your application, let us say if there are 100 read queries, there are only like 20 write queries, right? So if you have such kind of read replica or read-only databases, the developer who designed the application, they can connect like this. They will send all the write operations to the main database and all read operations to the read replica. So that the load on a single database will be distributed, right? That is also possible. So here the read replica is an exact replica of your primary database, and the read replica will be available on read-only mode, so that the data analysis team can run the queries or they will generate the reports from the read replica instead of generating the reports from the primary database. So that we can reduce the load on the main database and we can improve the performance of our applications. And there are some limitations in this. We will discuss those limitations one by one. So first, let us write down about the read replica. So read replica is an exact replica of the existing database instance which is available in read-only mode. So we can redirect the read queries or read operations to the read replica, and we can improve the performance of the main database. Initially, the role of the database is instance, right? Whenever you create a read replica, the role will be changed from instance to primary. The actual database will act as a primary database and the other replicas will act as read replica. The other databases will act as a read replica. So here, once we create a read replica for any database instance, the role of the database instance will be changed from instance to primary. That means here, this one, the black color database, actually the role is instance, right? The role will be changed from instance to primary. Whenever you see the role as a primary, that means the database is having some other databases under the existing database. So this will become primary. Whenever you do this, this will be changed from instance to primary. And this will be the replica. And here the limitation is, for any single database instance, we can create maximum 5 read replicas. We can create maximum of 5 read replicas for single database instance. And remember, that is not a soft limit. That is not a soft limit, that is a hard limit. You cannot increase the maximum number of read replicas from 5 to 6 or 7. The 5 is the hard limit. But what if I need more than 5 read replicas? Because my data analysis team is working in 10 different countries, or let us say they need like more number of read replicas to perform what we call the data analysis, or your application is getting more number of read operations. So to improve the performance, it might require 6 read replicas. But as per this statement, you cannot create more than 5 read replicas, right? Okay. So if you need more than 5 read replicas, that means let me draw all the read replicas. So this is the first read replica, right? This is the first read replica, and let me create the second one. So here you can create the third, fourth, and the final one is a 5. You cannot create more than 5 read replicas. But if you need more than 5 read replicas, the only option is you can create a read replica from an existing read replica. From an existing read replica, you can take. Here also, you can create 5. Here you can create 5. So this is the single instance, right? This is the single instance. From that, you can create 5. And again, 1 is one instance, 2 is second instance, right? For every instance, you can create 5. And from these replica, you can create 5. Like in that way, like tree like. Okay, just give me 2 minutes, guys. Okay, so a read replica, right? So maximum we can create 5 read replicas per database instance, and whenever you need more than 5, you can create the replica from an existing replica. Like this, you can create. So from every replica, you can create 5 more. Like that, you can create the replicas in a tree-like structure, and whatever the data you create into the database, the same data will be replicated across all the read replicas. All the read replicas will be replicated the data from the database. Already we are running the database 1. Let me show you that. So this is the database 1, and there is no tables and no data available. Now what I do is I will create some data into the database 1, After that, we will create the read replicas so that all the data will be replicated. And again, what we do is once the read replicas got created, we will create some data into the primary database. Again, the newly added data will be instantly replicated to your all read replicas. Okay, so first we have this one, the MySQL black color one, which is the instance, and we don't have any databases available. Now, what I am going to do is I will create 1 and 2 read replicas, like what I name them as replica 1 and replica 2. Okay. So first, let me log into the database, which is a database 1. So you have to open the SQL Yoke community tool. These are the yesterday's databases. Let me remove. Okay. So the name, I will name it as database 1. The connection name, host address, endpoint, username, admin, password. Let me say. So here you can see the database name as devdeep. The database name as devdeep. There is no tables. Let me create some table. Any table, that doesn't matter. The same way like how we created in the last session, I will create the same table. And I will use a serial number, data type normal. Let me say, just with 4 columns I'm creating. And I will create some 5 entries of data or whatever it is. Okay, we got created. So let me right click on the table and click on open table. Let me add some random data just to check the data is getting replicated or not. Just to check the data is getting replicated or not. Just give me a second. Okay, so now here we got the table. Let me add some data. I will say name 1, commas, 2, name 2. So I added like 5 entries of data. So our database, the main database, which is right now as an instance, it got 5 entries of data, like name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, name 5. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to create the replica 1. Now let us see how to create the replica 1. So before that, already the database is available. So what I do is create a MySQL database instance using single AZ deployment. And then create a table and add some data into the table just to check the replication. Now we are going to create a read replica. From the database. Okay, we create a read replica and let us name it as replica 1 from the database 1. Then what we do, just log into replica 1 and observe the data, like whether all the data got replicated from the primary or not. And once you create the read replica, the role of the database 1 will become primary. Right now, the role of the database 1 is instance. So let me go to the RDS service. So here the role is instance, right? Select the database, click on actions, and here you can see there is an option called create a read replica. What is the next one? That is also the same, but that will be created using the Aurora database engine. Even in the Aurora, you have to select MySQL. You cannot select PostgreSQL. So click on create read replica. So this read replica can be created using any instance class. There is no mandate that you have to go with p3.micro. You can increase the size or you can decrease the size. That option is available, but you cannot change the database name and all the things. So here the first option is replica source. What is the source database? For which database you are creating the replica? That will be automatically selected because before clicking on create read replica, we already selected the database one. Then the DB instance identifier. So this is the name of the read replica. I am giving the name as replica 1. And what is the next option? What is the next option? Region. And it is allowing you to create read replica in any region, right? That means you can create the read replica in the same region or in a different region also. There is no restriction. You can create in any region or in any availability zone. So select the region. At this time, I will select Northern Virginia only. Then select the instance configuration. I will go with p3.micro. Storage GP2, but it will not ask you the size of the storage because the size will be taken from the primary database. And then even you can create like kind of a standby instance for the read replica. Like read replica, you can create with high availability mode. Do not create a standby instance. That means it will not be available with high availability. Then network type, select IP version 4. Public access, publicly accessible, and all other options are same as your database creation. So security group, MySQL, availability zone, you can select in which availability zone you would like to create. Password authentication and backup. Is there any option to choose the backup? No. You cannot enable automated backup at the time of creation. Does it require? Is it mandatory to enable backup, automated backup on the read replica? No. Why? Because already we have a backup on the primary database, right? The same data is going to available in the read replica. Why should we maintain the same data twice as a backup? That's why it is not required, not mandatory. But if you want to enable, you can enable later. Okay, then just you can enable encryption if required, you can enable monitoring, or you can go with default options. Click on create read replica. All the options are same. While creating the database, every option is the same. The moment once you click on create read replica, what is the role of the actual database? Earlier it was instance. The moment once a replica got created, the role will become a primary. So it's a kind of a primary and it is a kind of a replica. This is not a standby or this is not a secondary. If the primary goes down, the replica will not provide any services. Replica will not replace the primary service. If the primary is down, replica is not providing any service to application. So you can say that by using the read replica, you cannot improve the availability. By using the replica, high availability is not possible. I mean, read replica is not meant for improving the availability of the database. Replicas are only to improve the performance of the database. That's simple. Okay, so now we have to wait. We have to wait till the replica to be created. While it is getting created, shall we create one more replica called replica 2? Replica 2. Okay. Let me select the database 1. Click on actions. Create read replica. The same process we have to follow. So here I will use the name as replica 2 and I will go with all default options except the public access to be yes, publicly accessible, and I will go with all default options. Now I am creating another replica called read replica 2. Okay, just let us keep this as is. Do you know what is the error? We got the error. Because the primary database from which we are creating the replica, the state of the primary is not available. If the state of the database is not available, you cannot perform any configuration changes. So here, what is the status? That's why you cannot create. You have to wait. I will keep that window open. Once that is done, I will click on just create read replica. Obviously, the database will take a lot of time to create because in the backend, they have to create a lot of things, the configuration part, replication, and all the things. But during this modification state, there is no downtime of your database. You can create anything. There is no downtime. That's it. Database is active, but it will not allow you to modify any configuration part. Now it is available, right? So I think you can create now. So replica 2 is getting created. So these are also new database instances, right? Does the automated backup will be created for these replicas? Yes or no? We will see. Let them create first. Then we will see that for the replica 1, the automated snapshot will be created on. So where we can check? Click on the snapshots. These are the manual snapshots from the yesterday session. If I go to automated, you can see that there is two snapshots of the database. One is the database 1, database 1. For the same database, the backup got created at 1244 and 112. 1244 means like approximately 650, and the other one is 550. Yeah, 650. This will be like 642. Just before creating the record, 642. As of now, there is no automated backup got created for your replica 1 and replica 2. But still, they are not yet created, right? So we have to check once the databases got created, the read replicas got created. So if you go back to the diagram, what we have done is we created the 1 and 2. We haven't created 3, 4, 5, and I don't want to create them also. But I would like to show you the how to create the 6th one. Because there are some minimum requirements to create the 6 that I will show you. Once the 1 and 2 are available, we will log into 1 and 2 individually, and we will check that all the 6 entries of data got replicated or not. And then we will add some more entries. We will check that all the data got replicated to 1 and 2. Then we will create what we call the read replica 6 from 2, like a replica of an existing replica. That we will do. And also what we do is we will check that what will happen if the primary got deleted. If the primary got deleted, what will happen to the other three database replicas? That we will check. So still it seems they are getting created. Okay, in the meanwhile, I will explain a few other terms. There is an option called promote. There is an option called promote. What is the meaning of the promote is you can promote the replicas as a standalone instance. So here we have a replica 1, right? If you promote the replica 1, what will happen there is the replica will become a standalone instance. The replication will be disconnected and the replica 1 will act as an independent database instance which will run in read and write mode. Let us say I would like to execute some queries or some kind of upgrade or something. So directly I cannot perform on the primary, right? So instead of taking the backup, restoring the database, I will create a replica. So all the data will be replicated, right? Once I think that the machine is ready, I will promote this as a standalone server. So this connection will be break up and it will act as a standalone server, right? The role will be changed from replica to instance. Replica to instance. Okay. So here, what will be the role of the second instance? Replica, right? But what will be the status of, what will be the role of the 2 after creating the 6? Obviously, the 6 will become a replica. There is no doubt in that. What is the source for the 6th instance? What is the source for replica 6? 2, right? So the role will become source comma replica. It will not become a primary. Source comma replica. Because the 2 act as a source for the 6 and the 2 act as a replica for the primary. Now, if we delete the primary database, all the replicas will be promoted. What is the meaning of a promotion? It will become instance. So assume that with this kind of architecture, if you delete the primary database, the 1 will be promoted as an instance. Does the 1 have any read replica? No. So the role will become instance. There is no doubt in that. Then what will happen to the 2? Actually, we discussed that if there is no primary, if you delete the primary, the 2 will be promoted into a standalone instance. So if you delete the primary database, the 2 will be promoted. So we think that that will be instance, but it has a replica, right? If any instance is having a replica, then what is the role? Primary. So the 2 will become the primary for 6, not this one. The 2 will become primary of the 6th replica. This will become a replica only. If I delete the 2, then 6 will become instance because 6 doesn't have any replicas. This will become instance. Just it will promote it to the next level, very next level. Okay. So that we will see one by one. But for that, first 1 and 2 should exist. Replica 1 and replica 2. It seems the replica 2 got created, but still the replica 1 is getting created. So let me go to the snapshots. Automated. Can you see any snapshots here? No. And here there is one option called automated snapshots. So for the read replicas, there will be no automated snapshot will be created. Now let us log into the replica 1 first. How to log in? The process will be the same. Copy the endpoint of the replica 1. Here you can click on plus without closing the database 1. Plus new connection. If you click on the first one, same the primary database will be connected. Click on new connection, new. I will name it as replica 1. Okay. So host address, username, password. Click on connect. At the same time, let me connect to the replica 2 also. So we have to get the replica 2 endpoint, right? Click on that and copy the replica 2 endpoint. Username is admin. Click on that. So already the databases, the replicas got created. So now, right now, I am on replica 2. So you can see the database name as DevDB. We haven't mentioned any database name, right? That was replicated from the file. Table, we can see the students. If I open the table, all 6 entries are there. Let me go to the replica 1. Let me click on replica 1 tab. We can see the same database. Tables, students, right click, open table. You can see all the data. Now what I do is, I will go to the primary database, which is the database 1. Right now I am on database 1. Let me add few more entries. I am adding 2 more entries. So those information will be automatically replicated to the other 2 databases also. Go to the replica 1, just refresh. Okay, here I will refresh. All 8 entries got there. And I will go to replica 2. So click on refresh. So instantly the data will be replicated. Because I clicked on this refresh button, the data is not replicating the database. If I click on this refresh, data will be loaded from the replica to this tool. Like if you have a browser, if something got changed in the backend, without refreshing, you cannot get, right. In the same way, if you refresh the tool, then the data will be loaded into the tool. But in the backend to the database, the data will be replicated instantly. Okay, so now let us see how to promote a database. How to promote a read replica. What I told you, if you promote a read replica, like the one, whenever you promote, this replication will be break and there will be no connection between the primary and the replica. So this we are promoting. So this will be promoted as an instance. As the one doesn't have any replicas, it will become instance only. If there is any replica under one, then this will become primary. Okay, now let me show you how to promote. So for that, I am going to choose the replica of 1. And here, just note down, create a read replica 2 from the database 1. Already created, but we haven't noted it down. Then what we do is promote is there. So we can promote a read replica to a standalone instance, which means read replica will be disconnected from the primary database, primary instance, and it will be converted into read and write mode. No data will be replicated from the primary to the promoted replica element. There will be no replication from the primary to the read replica once you promote the database. Okay. So now what we are going to do is promote the read replica 1. Promote the read replica 1. Just as a two-step method, like how to promote the read replica. So go to your database, RDS, click on databases, select the read replica, click on actions, and you can click on promote. And while you are promoting, it is mandatory to enable the automated backups. I mean, you have to select whether to enable or disable. That depends on your requirement. I will select yes. Backup retention, you can select 1 day, 2 days, or something. You can select backup window and click on continue. Promote read. That's it. The replica 1 will not act as a replica anymore. That will be promoted as a standalone instance, and the database will work in read and write mode. But once you promote, the replica will be restarted. The database will be restarted, which is replica 1. There will be no change in the database 1. The replica will be restarted to promote that from read only to read and write. Okay, so that will take some time. Again, that will take. So it seems it is not yet updated. If you click on refresh, you can see that the status is modified. Okay. So now I told you that we can create a replica from an existing replica, right? So as per the diagram, we have one replica existing, which is replica 2. Now I can say that create a read replica and let us name it as replica 6 from an existing read replica 2. Create a read replica from replica 2. So how to do that? Select, we know that select the replica instance, go to actions and click on create read replica, right? That is what we need. Okay. Now I will show you that how to do that. Now you can see the status of replica 1 is modified. That will take some time. So here select the replica 2, click on actions, but we are not getting the create read replica option. Why? Any guess? Any guess? But earlier, if you select the database 1, you got the create read replica. But if you select the replica, you are unable to create a read replica from an existing replica. Status is available. Status is available. The reason is on replica 2, there is no automated snapshots anymore. Without enabling the automated snapshots, you cannot create a read replica. But how we were able to do that? On database 1, which is the primary, on that database we enable the automated snapshots. So here you can write down a note point. Automated snapshot must be enabled on replica 2. On replica 2. Otherwise, you cannot create a read replica from an existing read replica. I think you can write down a different way. Enabled on read replica from which we are creating another read replica. I think this will be the general statement. This part automated snapshot must be enabled on the read replica from which you are creating another read replica. So right now you don't have any automated snapshot enabled. So the first step is enable automated snapshot on replica 2. Without enabling that, we cannot proceed further. So how to enable automated snapshot? At the time of creation, we have seen already. But how to enable automated snapshot or how to change the retention period on an existing database instance. So here select the database instance, whether it's a replica or something else, that doesn't matter. If you click on actions, there is no option, right? Click on modify. Click on modify. Okay, so here, if you scroll down, but already automated snapshots were enabled, right? Then what is the problem? What is the problem? What is the meaning of the retention period as 0 days? Even though that option is enabled, 0 days means technically speaking, there is no backups conflict. So at least you have to select 1 day. At least you have to select 1. Then only it will be considered as automated snapshots or enabled. So change the backup retention period from 0 to 1 in order to make the backups enabled. Then just scroll down and click on continue. And you have to be careful that you have to select apply immediately. Otherwise, you have to wait till August 4th. Modify DB instance. Now the replica 2 will be enabled with automated backups with like retention period as 1 day. Now can we create? Still we are not. Why? Because in the UI it is showing as available, but that is not available. The status is modified. That you can get if you refresh the browser. Because sometimes, especially with this RDS, everything is not instantly update in the UI. If you refresh the browser, then only you will get the change. If you refresh the browser, you can see the state as modified. See here for replica 2, what is the status? So you cannot do anything while it is modified. So you have to wait till the status of replica 2 is available. In the meanwhile, earlier we promoted replica 1 and it became instance. Now whatever the data you create into database 1, that will not be replicated to replica 1. Just to cross check that, I will go to database 1. I will create some data here. Just to show that there is no replication from primary to replica 1. Because replica 1 is no more a replica of the database. Now I am on replica 1. Refresh. There is no entry of name type. If I go to replica 2, you can see that time. Because replica 2 is still a read replica of the primary. So just wait. Still it is modifying. So while it is getting created, while it is getting modified, I will just delete the replica 1 because they will consume the free trial hours, right? How to delete a database? Actions and click on delete. And you have to wait till the replica 2 status is available. Once the replica 2 status is available, we can create a replica from replica 2. To promote. Yes. I think I didn't show you. That will be created. Because at the time of promoting, we selected that 1 day as a retention period, right? That's why it will be created. And even if you see for the database 2, I mean replica 2 also, if I go to automated, you can see the backup of the replica 2. Why? Because we enable the automated snapshot. For that backup, it is taking that much time. Whenever you enable automated snapshot, immediately it will create a snapshot. Because it will start maintaining the point in time recovery, right? Without having an initial backup, the point in time recovery is not possible. That's why it will create a backup the moment once you enable the automated backups. Okay, it's still it is modifying. Just wait. The RDS, almost all the time we have to wait to complete the process. It will take a lot of time. Even to create the replica 6, again you have to wait like 5 minutes also. And then what we do is we will delete the primary one. Automatically, what are the databases available under the primary, like replicas, will be promoted. So based on the hierarchy, they will be promoted as an instance or primary. So if you see the diagram here, if you delete this one, assume that one is still read replica. So one doesn't have any replicas, right? So it will be promoted as an instance. And replica 2 will be promoted. And the replica 2 has a replica. That's why the 2 will become primary and 6 will be a replica. If I delete the 2, then 6 will become instance. That's like how it will be promoted. Okay, replica 2 is available. Now what we are doing, we are creating a replica from an existing replica. So select the replica 2, click on actions. Now you got the create read replica option. Click on that. And now give a name called replica 6. Replica 6. And now the replica source is replica 2, not the database 1. And just scroll down, go with all default. Just I will change the public access to publicly accessible. Because I would like to log in and check the data. Create replica. Earlier, the role of the replica 2 was replica. Now, source comma replica. The replica 2 act as a source for replica 6 and the replica 2 act as a replica for database 1. All the data will be replicated to replica 6 from replica 2. Now, if I create some data into the database 1, then what will happen? First, the data will be replicated to 2. Once it got stored in 2, then from 2, the data will be replicated to 6. No data will be replicated from primary to replica 6. Because the source of the replica 6 is replica 2. Directly, this is not possible. Okay, so now let us wait. Once the replica 6 got created, we will log into the replica 6. We will observe that all the 9 entries got replicated to replica 6 or not. Then we will create one more entry in the database 1 and the same thing to be replicated to replica 2 and replica 6. But still the replica 2 will run in read-only mode. It is not yet a primary. Now if I go there to the replica 2, now I am on replica 2. If I type some new entry on replica 2, What is the error? The MySQL server is running with read-only option, so it cannot execute this command. That means replica 2, even though it is a source, it cannot operate in write mode. Still, that will be in the read-only mode. Even the replica 1 or replica 6, you cannot create or you cannot delete anything. That is replica 6 to be created. Then I will add one more entry into the database 1, and the entry will be replicated to replica 2 and replica 6. So how to identify that? What is the source of the replica 6? Now the replica 6 is replica, right? From where the data is getting replicated to replica 6. How to identify? If you click on the replica 6, see the structure. Replica 6 is available under replica 2. Replica 2 is available under database 1. Okay, that's how you can identify. Or we can see like this. Replication. Database 1 is a primary. And replica 2, what is the state? It is replicating. It is replicating the data to replica 6. And you can see for the replica 2, the source is database 1. For replica 6, the source is replica 2. This is how you can identify from which instance the data is replicated. Okay, let me go back. So still it is modified. So here what we have done, replica 6 got created, right? Then create some data into the primary database, which is database 1. Like one entry, and then observe that all the data got replicated to replica 6. Then finally delete the primary database instance, which is database 1, and observe the role of replica 2 and replica 6. Delete the primary and then observe the roles of replica 2 and replica 6. What will happen? They will be promoted. The immediate database will be promoted. Replica 6 will not be promoted. Whatever the database is available under the database 1, the immediate databases will be promoted. So replica 2 is the immediate database. So that will be promoted. So whenever you promote, that has to be instance, but the replica 2 is having another replica. That's why the role of the replica 2 will become primary. Theoretically, that will be, or that looks like somewhat confused. So just try to create all these things manually. Just create all these steps and observe what is happening and write down the points, whatever is happened, write down in your own words so that you can understand what is happening and what happened. And this up to here, there is no chargeable things, but the next topic, which is a multi-AZ, that is a chargeable. That is not a prerequisite. So this is July, like 30 days or 31 days? 31. 31. Because in my account I have some kind of credits, a credit voucher available, which is going to expire on July 31st. So if we complete that multi-AZ part tomorrow, I think whatever the bill I will get, that will be covered using that credit voucher. Okay, so now let us see what is happening here. Still the replica 6 is not yet created. It is in the process of creation. So now what will happen? Okay, we'll just wait. What I do is, let me create some entries into the database 1. Database 1, I will add one entry. I'm creating 2. So all these will be replicated to replica 2. Right now I am on replica 2. You can see 11. From here, all the data will be replicated to replica 6 also. Let us log into the replica 6 and we need to observe that. But still it is creating, you cannot verify that. We have to wait. Okay, so let me log into the replica 6. This is the endpoint of the replica 6. Let me log in. New replica 6. And the username's password same as your primary database. There is no change. Even you cannot change also. Okay, I got connected to replica 6. And you can see all 11 entries. All 11 entries. Now let me add one more entry in the primary. 12, 5, something. It got saved. Now I go to replica 6. Just within just few seconds I came, right? See here within just 2 to 3 seconds, you can observe the new entry in the replica 6. So it's a fraction of seconds, the data will be replicated. Okay. And so now what we have to do is we need to delete the primary database, which is the database 1. So how to delete? Just go to the databases, select the database 1, and here click on delete. I don't need any final snapshot, and I don't want to maintain any automated backups. Delete space me and click on delete. Now what will happen? As of now, the replica 2 is only working in read-only mode. Even we tried to create some data into the replica 2, which is not possible. But once the primary got deleted, the replica 2 will become a primary. That doesn't mean that the replica 2 is replacing the place of the database 1. Now the replica 2 and replica 6 act as one infrastructure. Replica 2 will become primary for replica 6. And replica 6 will still save as a replica. Okay. Right, so just wait. You can see what is the status. What is the status of replica 2? Primary. If there is no replica 6, then the replica 2 will become instance. If I delete replica 2, what will happen? Replica 6 will become instance. That's how you can maintain the read replicas. And the read replicas can be created across any region. You can create in any region. Let us say your database is in Northern Virginia, but the data analysis team is from India. So always it is better if you maintain a copy of the data in India, right? Even they can access from Northern Virginia, but there will be some latency and the data will be loaded with some latency. So the performance is not good. So it would be recommended to create a read replica in Mumbai region. So then you can create a read replica across any region in the AWS global infrastructure. Okay. Right. So this is about the read replicas, and you can see the status of replica 2 is modified because once it got promoted to primary, the what we call the read only mode should be converted from read only to read and write. That is happening here. So after some time, you can check that the replica 2 will act as read and write of actions. Okay. Right. So this is about the read replica. And the most important thing you have to remember is you can create only 5 replicas per instance. If you need more than 5, then you have to create the replica of an existing replica. Like this, you can create unlimited. Does the read replica chargeable? The feature is not chargeable, but the number of instances you create, if all the instances together exceeds the free tier usage, then you will be charged. There is no separate charge for using the read replica feature. There is no charge for using the read replica feature. Okay. Right. Any questions on this read replica or the database RDS as of now, whatever we cover? Any questions on this? Okay, so if you guys are clear, let us stop the session, and tomorrow we can go with multi-AG deployment. So first we will go with a regular database deployment multi-AG, like MySQL, and then we will see Aurora also, because Aurora has some advanced features available. Aurora, Amazon Aurora. That also we will see with the multi-AG deployment. Okay. All right. Thank you everyone. We'll continue tomorrow.
We are creating a different region replica, and then we remove the connection and convert it.
Then we'll act as a standalone.
We have copied it.
Yes, already the data is available in that region. So it will be
Like
run as a regular instance. Okay, so if you are able to see some estimated charges at the time of creation, those charges are only applicable if your account is not free tier eligible. If your account is free tier eligible, no need to worry about the estimated charges, whatever displayed at the time of creation. Okay. Those charges are applicable if your account is more than 1 year old or if you are not creating the .micro instances, which are free tier eligible. Whether it is a 14 USD or whatever it is. Okay, even if it is a 14 US dollars or whatever it is, if your account is free-tier eligible, it will not be charged. If your account is free-tier eligible, that is not chargeable. And if you use more than $750, then obviously you will be charged, right? That's why they will show you the approximate charges of 14 US dollars for every instance if you run for 30 days. What if you create T2.micro instances of like 30 instances? Then within 1 hour, within 1 day, you can exhaust all the 753 hours, right? Then what about for second day? That's why they will show you the estimated charges. If your account is created more than 1 year, then definitely the charges will be applicable. Because after 1 year, RDS is not free to eligible. Is that clear or is still any question on that? If your account is bigger eligible and if you are creating T3.micro, T2.micro, you will not be charged up to 750 hours per month. If you use more than 750 hours per month, you will be charged. And if you create other than T3.micro, T2.micro, and T4G.micro, you will be charged from the first hour onwards. And if you create multi-AZ deployment, you will be charged from the first hour onwards. Okay. The only exemption is single AZ deployment, T3.micro, T2.micro, T4.micro, and your account must be less than 1 year old. If you are fulfilling those requirements, yes, you can create without any charges. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then, thank you everyone. We'll continue tomorrow.